Welcome. Welcome to San Damiano's Stations of the Cross. As in everything else this past year, our San Damiano stations will look a bit different. My name is Jan Stegner, and I will be joined every week by a different guest to walk with you through the stations. On Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., you will have the opportunity to drive to San Damiano Retreat and listen to the tape version via your iPhone. There is about a 20 to 30 second time frame to walk from station to station, so you will have time to do the walk safely. Depending on the station chosen for the day, sometimes you will be invited to pray as you walk from station to station. This week we welcome Father Philip Garcia, Franciscan friar here at San Damiano Retreat Center, and the version of the stations we will be praying is Stations of the Cross Through the Eyes and Heart of Mary by me, Jan Stegner. This week, we invite you to say the Hail Mary as you walk from station to station. Father Philip and I will not be accompanying you, so we invite you to reflect and say the prayer on your own. You will hear the stations through Mary's eyes and heart from me, and then from Father Philip, you will hear a meditation and a prayer from a different image of Mary. Stations of the Cross Through the Eyes and Heart of Mary. Station 1. Jesus is condemned to die. It is Friday, and I see my son for the first time since they took him away. I gasp as I see his bruised and bloody body, ravaged by the scourging and misery he has been put through. However, my heart hurts more for the injustice and public humiliation he is facing and will face as he walks the journey to Calvary.
Mary, handmaid of the Lord, you accepted with grace the will of God for you to bear your son Jesus. You must have been frightened and bewildered that night when Gabriel came to visit you and asked you to bear the Son of God. Yet by your fiat you accepted. You too could have been ostracized by your community and by those who loved you. But you chose to face your own condemnation if that was needed to follow the call of God.
Station 2. Jesus takes his cross. As men carry a large, heavy cross with much strain and difficulty, I see them shove the cross into my son's arms. They laugh as he takes the thick and solid wood and struggles for balance, trying to hold on to it. My heart was breaking as I wanted to run to him and take the cross and carry it myself.
Mary, Mother of perpetual help, you protected your son since birth, for that is what mothers do. They protect, support, comfort, and love. How you must have wanted to put your loving arms around Jesus at this moment and take away any and all pain he must have been feeling. The sorrow on your face shows the agony you are experiencing as you watch your loving son's journey to his death.
Station 3. Jesus falls the first time. When my son fell from the heavy weight of the cross onto the hot, dirty, and unbreakable ground, I thought he was dead. Nothing had hurt me more than to see him in such pain. Then the guards kicked and yelled at him, ordering him to get up, to continue on. I saw the pain on his face, and I softly began to cry.
Mary, Queen of Peace, you are the mother of the Prince of Peace, of the teacher, of the minister, of the miracle worker, of the Redeemer of the world. However, this is the most violent and brutal day you will see with your human eyes. How can you watch as your precious son falls to the ground on a garbage-scattered street in the heat of the day as hundreds watch and jeer at him? Peace was the farthest thing from you this day, as it was in the Middle Eastern village of Jerusalem.
Station 4. Jesus meets his mother. I had to break through the crowd to see my son. I need to touch his skin, to look into his eyes, and to comfort him in any way that I can. I called to him through the shouting voices, and he stopped. Our eyes met, his full of confusion and pain, mine full of anguish and agony. I couldn't leave him, but before I knew it, a guard pushed me away.
Mary, Mother of Jesus, you are the Mother of God. Mary, you are a mother. You are a role model for us all. You raised your son with care, understanding, and love. You protected him and nurtured him in every way you could. Yet, when it was time for him to begin his ministry here on earth, you stepped back and allowed him to do what he was created to do, even though you knew he would be risking his life.
Station 5. Simon helps Jesus carry his cross. As the guards pushed me back into the crowd, I noticed some commotion near Jesus. The guards had pulled a reluctant man from the crowd, and they were forcing him to carry the onerous cross to help lighten my son's load. In a way, I felt a bit of relief, but I knew this was only temporary, and that the respite my son was feeling would be magnified once the heavy wood was thrusted back into his weak and tired arms.
Our Lady of Guadalupe, you see a stranger help your son carry his cross. Simon shows up just in time to relieve Jesus of some of the agony he is going through. Although Simon is hesitant, he takes the cross and keeps going with it until told otherwise. Simon showed determination and courage in the face of a rebellious and disturbed crowd.
Station 6. Veronica wipes the face of Jesus. As I continued to walk by Jesus, I see a woman push past the crowds and the guards. This woman took off her veil and carefully wiped my son's sweaty and bloody face. For the first time on this horrific journey, my son felt the compassionate touch from another human being. This woman gave to my son the best she had, and I too felt the empathy from her that she gave Jesus.
Mary, Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal, you suffered with your son in that hot, arid, horrendous day. Veronica's simple act of kindness showed support, hope, and love. In the tenseness of this day, Veronica's deed of love and grace brought a glimmer of hope to your sorrowful heart.
Station 7. Jesus falls the second time. Jesus falls again. He looks so weak, so abandoned and forsaken. I start to move toward him, but the guards thwart my efforts. He begins to arise, but he stumbles and almost falls again. Seeing my son fall, stumble, yet continue on is pure agony.
Mary, Star of the Sea, you see your beloved son fall yet a second time. You are a guiding star in your son's life. Yet how helpless you must feel watching him fall to the ground that second time. Jesus summons all his strength and struggles to stand again. Despite his agony, he is not defeated.
Station 8. Jesus speaks to the women. As Jesus continued his journey toward Calvary, I see a group of women stopping him. Don't they know they do not mean anything in our society? Don't these women know they are looked down upon and rejected in our village? Yet they cry for my son. They mourn his suffering and his anguish. I see he talks with them briefly, asking them to look at themselves and to change their way of rearing their children, so to bring up people of love and compassion and not people of judgment.
Mary, Mother of the Church, you are the mother of the faithful. You are the mother of Christ, the Theotokos, God-bearer. And because of this, and because of your faith, love, hope, and obedience, you too are Mother of the Church. The women who support your son during this grim and challenging day are his and our church. And you, Blessed Mary, are their mother as well.
Station 9, Jesus falls the third time. Jesus is almost to the top of the hill to his crucifixion. He is barely able to walk, and I see him fall for a third time. I want to yell to him to stay down, but somehow he rises once again and presses on. My heart is pounding as I fear what the guards will do to him next.
Mary, Immaculate Heart of Mary, you have lived a life of purity, grace, and love. Your maternal love for your Son and your unconditional and virginal love for God the Father has been shown in your deeds and actions. You have been the supportive beam for your Son throughout his life, giving him encouragement, validation, and a foundation throughout his ministry.
Station 10. Jesus is stripped of his garments. Just when I thought that the humiliation and disgrace could not get any worse for my son, the guards instantly tear off his clothes, at times taking his blood-soaked skin with the fabric. The sight of my son in so much agony is intolerable for me. I begin to weep as I know the fate that comes next for him.
Mary, Mirror of Justice, you are a symbol of peace, of love, of fulfillment, and of justice. Jesus is God's perfection, which is mirrored and reflected in you. Mary, you are the flawless model of the virtues of your Son. His patience, his love, his humility, his charity. You, Mary, have also been stripped of the joy, stripped of human dignity, and stripped of a pain far worse than physical suffering. You have been exposed to the excruciating pain of seeing the one you bore, the one you raised, the one you loved, being tortured.
Station 11, Jesus is nailed to the cross. The guards heaved my son onto the cross and nailed his hands and feet to it. As the stakes are being driven into his body, I felt my heart break. When they lifted the cross, I saw him, my little boy, my teenager, my young man, and now my son, who I will lose by the day's end.
Mary, Our Lady of Lourdes, you cared for, nurtured, and protected your son throughout his entire life. How helpless you must feel watching his abuse and suffering at the hands of the Roman guards. You could not heal him, Mary, your hands unable to mend and nurse him back to health. However, you accepted his destiny, just as your son did, and you acknowledged it was the way you do, with reverence, grace, and with unconditional love.
Station 12. Jesus dies on the cross. It is finished. The pain, the agony, the public humiliation, the torture, the falling, the lonely walk to the hill of death. It is finished. My son, my wonderful, compassionate, loving son is dead.
Mary, Our Lady of Solitude, you must feel abandoned and alone. The one person who knew you the best is gone in this world. You have died, your son has died a violent death, and the dark feelings in your soul must be unbearable, yet you wait. You do not walk away from him. You wait, being the mother you are. You wait to take care of him one last time.
Station 13. Jesus is taken down from the cross. The crowd had seen what it came to see, and now they disperse in the late afternoon heat. I patiently wait for my son to be taken down from the cross. As he is removed, I sit on the parched, waterless land and wait to hold him in my arms for the last time. I feel deep sadness, yet I also feel some relief knowing that his agony has ended.
Mary, Our Lady of Sorrows, you experience great torment and grief watching your son experience his passion. As life has it, your son should be cradling your lifeless body and not the other way around. You know what to do, Mary. You always have. You now give yourself over to the arms of God, whom you trust. You trust Mary with all your heart.
Station 14. Jesus is placed in the tomb. A man named Joseph helped us lay my son in his cave. I perfumed his body and wrapped it in cloth. I wept silently as I took one last look at my son and turned to walk out of the tomb. Then they rolled a huge rock against the cave to seal my son's body in the cavern. Trust.
Mary, Our Lady of Hope, you were the chosen woman of God. Mary, for many reasons, but one of the qualities that you embrace is hope. The life of your son ended way too soon, yet you know, Mary, that isn't over. You hope, you trust, and you know that the crypts in this life are entryways to the resurrection.
Thank you for joining us today for our Stations of the Cross. A few little notes about the stations. The stations are a 14-step devotional to observe Jesus' last day on earth. They are used as a mini pilgrimage as a person moves from station to station. At each station, we recall and meditate on a specific event from Christ's last day on earth. The stations originated in pilgrimages to Jerusalem as a desire to reproduce the Via Dolorosa, where Jesus is believed to have walked to his death carrying the cross. In the late 1100s, Jerusalem fell to the Muslims. 40 years later, the Franciscans were allowed back into the Holy Land. The Franciscans received custody of the Holy Land to guard and promote the devotion of holy places. During the 15th and 16th centuries, the Franciscans began to build a series of outdoor shrines in Europe to duplicate the Holy Land. In 1686, Pope Innocent answered the Franciscans' petition and granted the Franciscans the right to erect stations within their churches. In 1731, Pope Clement extended to all churches the right to have stations erected within their churches, provided that a Franciscan friar create them. By the mid to late 1800s, the bishops of England were allowed to build them without intervention from a Franciscan priest. Thank you for joining us this morning, and have a blessed week.